We're on.
Excellent. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Monday and happy Valentine's Day for yesterday.
Indeed.
It's something you wish to celebrate.
Well, if you did celebrate it, let us know. And if you didn't celebrate it, let us know.
Yeah. Are we going to talk at all about Valentine's? Do you have any fun Valentine's facts?
Well, not really fun. Probably one of the most interesting things about the saint himself is that, curiously, we don't really know who he actually was. There are 2 or 3 people that could have been Saint Valentine, but we don't really know which one that we celebrate. Anyway, enough of that.
Okay. Why did you say it like that?
Well, you said fun facts. It's not really a fun fact.
You didn't say it in a fun way.
Oh, right. That Valentine dude, hey, he's really cool. Just so mysterious, we just don't know who he is. And actually, I'll tell you, this isn't a fun fact, but actually I think it's a very interesting fact. There are lots of remains supposedly from Saint Valentine. And if you put, it's a bit like the Holy Cross. If you put all these things together, you'd actually make more than one person. Well, possibly not. But the point is that he's spread about all over the place, which I just find is quite interesting. Which suggests that actually probably a lot of the remains are actually not his.
Oh. Okay.
That's not really fun.
I think that's more fun for you as a historian.
Well, I just kind of like the idea of lots of body
Everyone
parts.
wants to claim a bit of him.
Absolutely. And in fact, of course, a bit of him is in Lesbos in Greece, allegedly.
Allegedly. Right. Well, I'm conflicted about Valentine's. I like the idea of it. However, I feel that it's lost meaning because it's very commercialized and capitalistic.
Oh, hang on, you mean lost meaning? What meaning did it have in the first place? The meaning changes over time.
Oh, I don't know. No, I'm just kind of saying that it's nice to celebrate love, but also I don't think you should show someone you love them just on that specific day. But I think it's nice to have a day dedicated to love. But I think it's now about showing love via buying stuff.
Well, if you read Samuel Pepys' diaries, he would have said that's true of the 17th century as well.
Oh, okay, right, fine.
He complains in his diaries about how much Valentine's Day gifts cost him.
Oh, so it's not a new thing.
No, not a new thing. Although what is very different is, of course, in Samuel Pepys' diaries, he would choose Valentines other than his wife very often, and somebody like his mate would choose his wife as a Valentine. You wouldn't necessarily choose your life partner as a Valentine.
That's kind of a fun game.
Yeah, it was like just being really nice to somebody for a day.
That's quite fun.
So maybe we should reinvent that.
Right. So for today's episode, other than Valentine's, kind of related to Valentine's, I thought we would, we asked 2 episodes ago if people would want to hear any relationship advice. And some people have spoken. So I thought we could do that today.
Okay. Let's listen to listen to our audience.
Yeah. So, I didn't know which one to start with.
Maybe the first. Start at the very beginning. A very good place to start.
Shitty boys that can't make an effort.
Sorry, what's the question? That's a statement, isn't it?
Yeah. What to do with them?
Get rid of them.
Get rid of them. I think, unfortunately, it's quite as easy as that.
Okay, well, what's your advice then?
Yeah, get rid of them.
Well, okay. So
I think it's difficult if you really like them, but ultimately maybe it's the best. And maybe if you do if they feel like you're gone and they're losing you, maybe they will start making an effort.
Well, true, and also, yes, you may you very much may like someone, but if they don't like you or for whatever reason are not pleasing you, kind of like, what's the point? It's a bit sadistic almost.
Yeah.
Because are they going to change?
No, and it's not your
give
job.
them the opportunity to change, and if they don't change, well,
it's their loss, not yours.
Well, and also you're the one that's constantly knocking your head against a brick wall, expecting them to change when they're not.
Yeah. And it's not your job to teach them or make them change, so it's their loss.
Yeah. Sorry, who's lost? The stupid boy or the girl?
The person who's having to deal with the stupid boy's loss.
Well, maybe they're not losing anything. That's probably why they're stupid. Maybe they just haven't woken up to what they have, what they have in front of them.
Well, that's what I mean. It's their loss. They might not realise it, but it's their loss.
Yeah. Okay.
So shall I move on?
Yeah, move on. We've done that one. Actually, we kind of rather did that one in about the first 5 seconds.
How to not get ghosted.
Yeah, you'll have to explain to me. Sorry, ghosted.
Yeah, I was trying to explain it to you the other day. So basically, in the modern days, I feel like it could happen before. It's like, if you were to write someone a letter.
A letter.
And they stop replying.
Going to write a little letter. Going to send it to
Obviously,
my
it happens
DJ.
now with texts and stuff, and they just stop replying.
Yes.
Disappear like a ghost. So they ghost you.
Oh, I see. So you're having basically you're having an exchange with somebody, a written exchange. Text exchange,
maybe you've already gone out,
and then
had a
suddenly
good time.
they just drop you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that happens quite a lot actually. I think, and it's really unfortunate, but I was told once that there's a kind of fact that when somebody enters into a new relationship with somebody, they lose something like 2 or 3 friends. The point is that when you choose to be in a relationship with somebody, you drop off friends, if you see what I mean. So ghosting is by definition going to happen when people enter into relationships, because the people that person was in touch with on a regular basis now are less important to them. And actually, I think that's really sad, because then the moment they break up, they're thinking, I
don't have any friends.
I haven't got any friends left.
Yeah, but I'm talking about someone you're romantically seeing doing that, not your friend dropping you.
Oh, right.
Someone
okay.
you may have gone on a date with, and then all of a sudden you think everything's fine, and then they just vanish.
So this is a significant other ghost.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I hadn't realised the connotation of that. Well, that suggests to me that one or other of the individuals, it's not reciprocated, but maybe the one who feels that they're ghosted was expecting more. I don't know. I mean, why else would it happen? Maybe they've just found somebody else. I don't know.
I think it's quite unfair. I think people should just be honest. If you want to stop talking, or if you're scared or whatever, just say.
So it's essentially a kind of way of breaking up.
Yeah.
Oh, breaking up without somebody. Oh, if I ignore them long enough, they'll go away.
Yeah. It's basically ignoring the problem.
Oh, that's a typical man thing.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's.
Right, I've got there eventually. Right. Oh, okay. This is a criticism of men, then. Oh, right. I've got there. Yeah. Well, that's what men do. They kind of if they think, well, if I ignore the problem long enough, it'll go away.
Which is not fair. I think you should just be honest and say, "Hey, I'm going through this," or I'm trying to figure something out. Can you give me some time and space? Rather than just disappearing, then the other person's like, "Hello, are you still there? Am I still seeing you next week?" The week goes by, they're like, okay, are you all right? Are you alive? Are you in a hospital bed?
Yeah. And the bloke at the same time is sitting in the pub with his mates, well, obviously not at the moment because it's lockdown, but is sitting in this virtual pub with his mates saying, God, do you know, I've been ignoring her for 2 weeks now and she keeps on going on.
She won't leave me alone. She's addicted.
I know.
I think it's stupid. I think you should just be honest.
Well, I just think it's a little unkind, actually.
Yeah.
That if you really do want to sever links, you should be a man and stand up and say, I'm sorry, darling, I'm just not in love with you anymore. I'm in love with my goldfish.
I think it's very irritating, especially now, when during lockdown and everything, when people have their phones and people are checking their phones, because it's basically your only means of communicating.
It's a lifeline to the outside world.
Exactly. So I know you're looking at your phone. I know you've seen the text. Like, just have the common decency to be like, hey, sorry, can't do this. Just like something. I feel like it can be very... And I think it makes the other person maybe question, like, what's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? Which is a very...
Maybe they've got a new phone.
Maybe, if you've got
to tell them.
Maybe. But I just think you shouldn't put the other person in a position of having to question themselves.
No, it's cowardice.
Stuff.
It's basically, right, okay, I've changed my mind. I don't want to be with this person anymore. Actually, they're actually becoming really annoying. And my way of dealing it is just to ignore it. And if I ignore it long enough, it'll go away. It's typically male cowardice. I'm sorry.
It is. It's annoying. So I think another one kind of bouncing off of this is mixed signals. Someone says they like you, that you're perfect, beautiful, intelligent. They value you, want you in their life, but they can't be in a relationship. But you've been going out for months.
So you've been in a relationship?
No, you've kind of like been like pre-relationship, kind of like going out.
So you've been knocking about as best as mates.
Yeah.
And it's not like going to another level.
Yeah, it's about moving it, making it official, like making it exclusive. That's the kind of context I'm understanding.
Okay, I'm not
and
sure.
So they're saying that, so you're having, what I'm understanding from this is mixed signals. Someone says they like you, you're perfect, beautiful, intelligent, value you. They want you in your life, but they can't be in a relationship after months of going out together.
But, okay, I think where I'm struggling here is months of going out together. So what is it?
What do you understand and what do I understand? Because I think different generations.
What I understand is, I have plenty of people whom I think are all of these things: beautiful, clever, really interesting. It doesn't mean that I necessarily want to be in a relationship with them. Well, I am in a relationship with them as a really good friend, but that's the relationship I want. I don't want it to necessarily change from that. And what's wrong with having really good friends?
But I'm not seeing...
maybe it's the difference between having a platonic relationship and what's necessarily wrong with that.
I wouldn't have understood going out as platonic. I would have understood it as in like going on dates and sleeping together.
Okay. And that's why I didn't quite understand what you meant.
So there was already a romantic context.
So they're in a relationship already.
But without officially being in a relationship.
Well, hang on. This is what I don't get. Sorry.
This is the problem of our generation.
How can you be in a relationship without officially being? You either are. It's binary.
You're not. No. Just because you're sleeping together.
So you're in a relationship.
You could be seeing someone, but it doesn't mean you're together or exclusively seeing each other.
Yeah. No, I get it now. Okay. So maybe it's the exclusivity. But again, is that not about being open and honest with one another and defining what type of relationship you both want? Because if you've been in a relationship like that for some time, maybe one of the people involved, and I don't think it's necessarily a woman or the man, it could be either way around, thinks, well, this is our relationship, it's fine, it suits me, that's what I want. Mm-hmm. And if the other person then wants to change the nature of that relationship, well, they need to sit down and tell the other person, because that's not what their relationship's been about. It's about expectation. And if the expectation's changed, then they've got to sit down and talk about it.
Okay. So then if the other person... So if, say, you want a relationship but they don't, then you're kind of stuck.
Well, again, the trouble is we're using relationship in different terms here, because that's why I asked you about this right at the beginning. So that they're in a relationship, but it's not an exclusive relationship, I think, or whatever. I'm not quite sure what but it's, so they want a different type of relationship. So that requires some form of understanding, agreement, and conversation, no?
Yeah, I guess so. I think
Maybe they just need to talk to one another.
No, I think the way that I understand it is that they just want different. I think it's just a situation where two people like each other but want different things. One person wants to be with them and the other one doesn't.
Well, or doesn't want to be with them the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, fine. So they've got different expectations, so they need to sit down and talk about it and decide who are they prepared to compromise. If not, well, they have to go their separate ways.
Interesting you said compromise, because I've got another question that has that word. It says, do you believe in perfect matches, or is it a matter of compromises?
Of course I believe in perfect matches. She's called Helena Bonham Carter.
Ha ha ha.
Oh, I don't know. I think we always dream about the perfect person, or we sometimes believe that we've met the perfect person. Is there such a thing as a perfect person? I think all relationships are actually a form of compromise.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing. Like, it's a bit like what we were saying before. If you guys, you're technically in a kind of unofficial relationship and you're enjoying each other's company and like each other, then it's a matter of compromise for one or the other to settle and say, I'm fine with this not moving forward, or the other person saying,
and that's where the problem comes,
to move forward.
Because if you're compromising to an extent where you're no longer happy with it, where you feel that it's all give and no take, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Well, then something's not working. But I think you should be prepared to make compromises, but not to the extent that you're no longer yourself, if that makes sense.
And I think some compromises come more naturally, so maybe you don't even realise you're compromising stuff. So maybe that sense it might be a perfect match.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because something that you need for the other person might not be that big of a deal to compromise. They might
precisely.
not be thinking it as a compromise.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, for example, I don't know, say, a hypothetical scenario. I've got an amazing job offer in a different country. For someone, that might be a big compromise to come with me. But for someone else, they might not care and be like,
precisely.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's an amazing opportunity for both of us. I want to leave this place as well. They might not think of it as a compromise.
No, exactly.
So in that sense, you might be a perfect match together.
At that particular moment in time.
Yeah.
And the other thing, of course, is that people do change. And, of course, the good relationships are ones that kind of develop together.
Yeah. Shall I say another one?
Yes.
Okay, we have a whole story. Are you ready?
Oh, gosh.
A guy drives 1 hour to see you for your first date. It all goes well. He says he likes you. But then gradually his replies, this is messaging replies, start getting slower. He says it's because of work. And then when you're meant to see each other again, he cancels because apparently he has to stay with his best friend who's just been broken up with. So he's like staying with him to do damage control. Is it excuses? Because I believe if someone wants to see you, they will.
Well, I think this sounds a little bit like the ghosting thing. They entered the relationship, all enthusiastic, and that enthusiasm has waned, and sadly, that's often the case within relationships. It may be that they've generally got something on, but if that is the case, then surely the other person would understand that they would understand that, oh my word, they're under a lot of pressure with work, and it's absolutely terrible because they've got this sick friend or family member or whoever it might be at the moment. And obviously, if we love someone or care about someone very much, if they are stressed at work or busy or whatever it might be, we should acknowledge that. But it seems to me this is more about their enthusiasm, shall we say, for the relationship is waning.
From who? From the person?
Yeah, because they started all gun-ho, right, I'm going to drive up, I'm going to go and see them, and everything was exciting. And then over time it becomes rather less exciting.
Which is quite common.
Well, I was going to say that's not uncommon at all.
Do you believe in this kind of idea of like, if they want to, they will? Of like, if someone wants to see you, they'll make the effort to do it. Or if they want to be with you, they'll make the effort to do it. I don't think
we can always assume that people really do have that ability. I mean, yes, it's very easy for somebody to say, oh, if you really loved me, you'd make the effort. But they might say that without really understanding the pressure they're under. And maybe they need to be a little less demanding and a little bit more understanding.
Yeah, I think both. I don't know if Hollywood movies have hired expectations a bit.
Well, yeah, but that's the whole point of movies, is that they create fantasies that then people want in everyday life.
Yeah, because, I wish that someone would drive 2 hours, because I now live far away, so, I'd kind of want anyone to drive 2 hours to come and see me and plan this amazing date, but I don't know if that's reasonable for someone. Maybe some people it might not be a lot of effort, but maybe for someone it's a lot of effort. I don't know.
I don't think it's unreasonable, but equally you've got to understand what other constraints they may have. So you have to, what I'm trying to say is you've got to shape your expectation in relation to the reality of life that the other individual is going through. They may be absolutely crazy about you, but I don't know if their mother or father's dying at the other end of the 2-mile drive. It might not actually be quite so easy for them.
I think also maybe try and put yourself in their boots sometimes, give them the benefit. I think because it's the beginning.
Well, that's what I'm saying about being understanding about the constraints that they're under.
Yeah, I think especially at the beginning, if you don't really know them, give them the benefit of the doubt, because you don't know them. You don't know if they're liars and they're lying. You don't know if they're very anxious, so it's an anxiety thing. Because I get overwhelmed if I have to do a lot of things. So, but someone that knows me can understand that and say, I understand it's not personal, you cancelling on me, that is probably because you're feeling overwhelmed. But maybe someone that doesn't know me might be like, oh, you're not making the effort.
And anyway, they shouldn't be driving 2 hours. They should be using public transport.
It said 1 hour.
Okay.
I said 2 hours. But would you do the same for them? Would you drive an hour? I guess maybe you should question yourself. Because I feel like...
I know I've done that in the past. I've driven more than an hour in the past to go and see somebody that I was crazy about.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't actually talking to you. I was talking to the audience.
Oh, right.
But and how did you feel doing that? But did you do it more than once?
Yeah.
Wow. Fun. So, yeah, but that's the whole point, that I think if someone really likes you, they will put in the effort if they can.
If they can.
Yeah.
Well, and they're willing to do so.
And willing, yeah.
The key thing is that if they really love you, it's the willingness that matters. Sometimes, as I was trying to say before, you may be really, really willing and really, really wanting to do it. but you can't always drop everything. It simply is not that easy.
Yeah, I think when it's the beginning of something, maybe benefit of the doubt. But if it was like months and months and months and you feel that, I don't know, I think, as we said before, you shouldn't feel like you're the only one giving and not receiving anything. So if you feel like you're always the one putting in the effort, then it's not fair.
No.
But it's also not fair to expect for someone else to always put in the effort, I guess.
No, not at all. It's called exploitation. But unfortunately, some people actually, it's not that they're happy with that, but they allow themselves to be exploited and tend not to complain too much.
Some people, is it fair to say some people like it in relationships?
Oh, possibly so. Possibly so.
Because I think maybe it's a character thing. Some people like to give. Some people get more pleasure out of
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
doing these kinds of grand gestures than receiving them. I don't know. But I do think that, if someone gives you gifts all the time, or if someone calls you all the time, or if someone's always there for you, you should reciprocate. You should make sure that you give them something back, if that makes sense.
It's about understanding what triggers please the other person. So it may be that certain relationships work where to an outsider they look as though there's conflict going on, but it works for them, if you see what I mean. I don't think we should necessarily assume that what we want from a person is what somebody else wants from a person, and how we want to be treated by a lover, partner, whatever we want to call them, is how everybody else wants to be treated. And that's the problem with human relationships. They're all different.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's kind of making me think, I think one struggle in modern times is, I think people are not very honest, very clear with their intentions or what they want or expect.
Maybe they don't know what they want.
Maybe they don't know, which is fine. But
I've sometimes really struggled because I don't know what I want.
Yeah, which is understandable. I'm the same. But I think another thing with modern dating, and I think it comes in with the whole ghosting thing, is a lot of like, maybe it's just who I've dealt with, but of like, who can pretend they don't care more?
It's like a game of bluff.
Yeah, it's literally just like, oh, I'm not gonna, it's a lot of overthinking of like, should I reply, should I not, should I say this, should I not? He hasn't replied, so I'm not gonna text him. If he hasn't texted me, I'm not gonna double text, and it's almost like a game of like showing that, oh, I don't care. I care less than you do.
But I think it's also, again, it's possibly about having relationships in the age of social media, where, as you say, there's an immediacy to it. You can text somebody or Instagram or whatever, somebody that you're keen on or in some form of relationship, and you're expecting an immediate response. When I was your age and younger, starting going out with girls in my teenage years, well, after you walked them home to the bus stop and got them on the bus or whatever it might be, well, that was it. You'd say goodnight and you wouldn't hear from them. Yes, you could phone people, but even then, you didn't phone people as much because you obviously didn't have a mobile phone. You had to use your parents' phone. So there just wasn't this kind of instantness. You spent time apart from one another in a true sense, because there's no way of contacting one another. Sorry, what I'm trying to say is that therefore, the moment you can contact someone instantly and expect a quick reply 24/7, that completely changes the expectations of the relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, it really
And
does.
I'm not sure what is better.
I don't know. Because that's what I think. I think it leads you to overthink. Like, cause like, why haven't they replied? Like.
But there were times, I mean, again, when I was maybe going out with somebody. Well, in fact, at one stage, I went out with somebody who was a nurse in London, and you would only ever see each other maybe every 2 weeks.
Mm.
And you couldn't really contact each other in between. So you just would you would go 2 weeks without contacting one another. But then you didn't have an expectation to suddenly talk to one another in the period in between, if that makes sense. I'm not sure what I'm really going on about here. I guess what I'm saying is that you formulated the relationship in a different way because you never had any of this angst like, oh, I texted them 2 minutes ago, why haven't they answered? Oh my God, what's happened? Because you said goodbye to them, see you in 2 weeks' time. And that was it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if social media has made it easier or harder to date.
Well, both. Again, I use that word expectations. It's made it easier to date, but the expectations, I think, are perhaps harder because relationships are much more 24/7.
Yeah, which I think can be overwhelming.
Yeah, and possibly when you're young and the relationship is in its early stages, possibly not also very healthy.
Yeah. Because I think it's almost kind of obsessive.
Yeah, well, that's the problem.
You can get obsessed with like why haven't they replied or when they reply, and it's just not good.
Well, and also it might appear rather intrusive. It's like how many times do you have to text somebody before it actually gets a bit annoying? People have to understand that people do have lives beyond the individual that's texting them.
Yeah. I don't know. I think especially now with lockdown, it's a bit more difficult because you're not necessarily seeing people in person to actually talk in person. So you're almost texting and phone calls are the only thing you have. So I think it makes it a bit more difficult.
Yeah. But again, I think a good relationship, maybe this is just me, that you have to give the other person their own space and their own time.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I think going back to the question, I think it's that kind of balance of when it's at the beginning and trying to figure out whether, someone's not replying because they're busy, someone's not replying because they don't like you and they're trying to ghost you. And I think the problem with texting and stuff is that, sometimes I text more abruptly than I would probably speak to you in person because I'm doing other things or whatever. So you might misunderstand or misinterpret what I say or how I say something. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, it's as though, you can shout at people via text, if you see what I mean. You can be quite curt.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
But you also I feel like, especially now, people want to be having like a kind of conversation instantly as if we're talking. So like texting with instant replies as if we're having a conversation, like talking, because it's kind of replaced it.
Yeah. Well, there's that word expectation again, where you've got unmatched expectation. Somebody wants your attention and they want it now, yet without understanding that you actually might be in the middle of something. But again, maybe that's about honesty. Text them back and say, would really love to talk, but sorry, I'm really busy now.
Can I call you tonight?
Yeah, let's do
Let's
it later.
talk tomorrow. Yeah.
So just be honest and respect them and say, okay, yes, I can see that you really want to have my attention now, but actually now is not a good time for me. Let's find a compromise that suits both of us.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing. I think we have a lot of access to communication, but I think people should use it and be honest, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, there's a difference. Sometimes with texting, all you're doing is giving information. Are you really communicating?
Yeah. See, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Because you might not actually be saying much.
Because it's so easy, you actually are not communicating at all.
Yeah.
And relationships need communication, not information.
That's true. Because you might be just chatting shit.
Yeah. Talking bollocks.
Not really saying anything. The conversation's not going anywhere.
No.
You're not communicating your feelings or intentions. You're just talking to someone.
No, most of my texts are all bollocks. It's just, I don't think you don't have serious discussions via text. To my mind, if you want to have a serious discussion with somebody, you've actually got to talk to them, not use a mobile phone.
But we're in a pandemic.
Yeah, I know, but you can still talk to somebody, whether it be on Zoom or by Skype or by WhatsApp or whatever. Texting, again, certainly my texts tend to be relatively short, relatively laconic. That's not a good way to have a conversation. A lot of texting is questions and answers. Somebody asks you a question. How are you? I'm fine. What are you up to? Nothing.
True. I have 2 more. Shall we do them?
Oh, blimey, we've got more questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we are running out of time.
Absolutely.
But since it's only 2 more.
Okay.
Currently. Can you be friends with an ex?
Depends on the ex.
That's what I was going to say. Depends on the ex.
And I think it depends on why they're an ex.
Depends how it ended.
And it may be that you can't be friends
immediately after.
Immediately, but then as time goes by and maybe understanding develops or anger,
if it doesn't make you
dissipates.
feel uncomfortable or a certain way, if you feel comfortable with it, or you're not kind of troped into it, I think it depends how it ended. So if someone cheated on you and it ended badly, then why would you really want to be friends with someone like that? But if
it may be that you really loved them before they cheated, and I think it really depends on the situation and the individuals. I don't think there's any straight right or wrong. At the end of the day, it depends how much they have hurt you, and how they've hurt you, and whether or not you can recover from that.
Yeah, and maybe and if they are an asset to your life.
Well, I don't like thinking about people being assets. Maybe assets just the wrong word.
Yeah, maybe it is, but I mean, a friend, they bring something good into your life. They're there to support you, be friendly, love each other, not cause you stress and distress necessarily. So if they're there and just causing you more stress, then...
But the other way of looking at it is that, let's say that you went out with somebody and you had a really good relationship for 2 or 3, maybe more years, and then for whatever, without laying any blame, something goes wrong. You either fall out of love, whatever it might be, something goes wrong, and the relationship ends. At the end of the day, they still know you a lot better than most other people because you had an intimate relationship for all of that time. And I think it's sad to throw all of that away.
Yeah, but it doesn't necessarily mean that just because of that you have to be friends.
Oh, you don't have to. No.
I think you can be friends with an ex, to answer the question, but it just really depends.
Well, and also it depends. It depends on your own situation because.
And again, why are you doing it? Are you doing it to stay close to them and get back together?
The other part of this ingredient is that, okay, so you got two people, you break up, one of them gets into another relationship, but they want to remain friends with their former partner.
Yeah.
So now you've got three people, and the new person
doesn't like that.
Doesn't like, oh, well, I'm really not comfortable with this because, and that could be it could be a man or a woman, doesn't really matter. But you do get this situation
it's quite common
where people are not happy with their partner's exes.
Being
and the
friends.
partner may want to remain friends with their ex, but their new partner doesn't, if that makes sense. So I don't know, it's very complicated, and you've got to, the trouble is you're in this video situation where you're trying to please everybody.
Yeah. And I think it's a tricky one because sometimes people will say, no, you can never be friends with an ex.
No, I don't believe that. I think you can.
So then if that's...
In fact, I am.
Can I speak?
Oh, sorry, I thought you were asking me questions.
I was going to say, if someone believes that no, you can never be friends with an ex, and they're your new partner and you're friends with your ex, then they probably think it's very uncomfortable and not normal. They might be like, why are you friends with them? It must mean you still like them, or they still like you.
Get back to them. You want to get
Yeah.
back to them. I know.
So it's a tricky one. But I think you can be friends with an ex. To answer the question and move on to the next one.
Yeah, move on to the next
because we're going round in circles.
Yeah. Done that one.
When do you know you have to end the relationship?
Ooh. Because your friend texts you and says, you got to end this relationship.
Dump him.
Yeah. Or her.
Mm.
When you're no longer happy within it and you don't think that there's any way in which it's going to change.
Yeah, I think when you're no longer happy.
And you can't see that what you had is going to be revitalized or regained.
I think sometimes it can be difficult to see that, though.
I think normally when they've moved out and
maybe if you're happy
moved to
with
a different
their
country,
absence.
that's probably a good sign that the relationship should be in.
When you're happy with their absence, when you're kind of fine with it. Like, I think if maybe a way to try it out is maybe spend some time apart and see how you feel. Do you feel more yourself without them? I think maybe if you stop feeling like yourself is a good time. If that makes sense.
Oh, no, it makes perfect sense. Very good advice. If you don't feel yourself.
Like you don't feel comfortable or you belong there anymore. I think sometimes there's a bit of sadness there. I think people can sense it, but sometimes you just don't want to let go because it's scary or sad.
Well, I think people are often scared of the alternative.
Yeah.
Which is why they continue in a relationship even though they're not happy, because they think that they're going to be even more unhappy without the relationship at all. So they're scared of the unknown. They're scared of not being in a relationship.
Into the unknown. Into the unknown.
Indeed.
Yeah, I think it's a leap to take. I think it's better to be, happy alone than be unhappy in a relationship.
Oh, yeah, I would go for that.
Or like trying to find happiness alone. I don't know.
Well, but some people are just simply not happy on their own. Some people don't like living on their own. Some people are not happy with their own company.
Yeah, but maybe that's a problem to fix.
Oh, it is. And I think that's time for another topic, another discussion.
So when do you know? I feel like you kind of know. I think the minute you kind of start questioning whether you should be with someone is the minute you kind of already know. I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
I do, although possibly I would think it might need to develop a little further than that. I think it's you that said when you don't feel yourself anymore. I think that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. I think sometimes the best to do is I've lost my words.
Yeah.
I think a good way to figure it out is take some time to yourself and see how you feel by yourself. Like because I think the thing with some relationships is people get comfortable and it's just convenient. And I think it's a matter of, are you there just because it's convenient, or are you actually happy and in your element?
I think a vast majority of relationships, a vast number of relationships are there because of the convenience. You don't question whether you're happy enough. It's just you lapse into a way of living or whatever with one another.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that it's wrong. That doesn't mean that there's nothing wrong.
No, not necessarily. But if you don't feel 100% yourself, then maybe it's better to break up, feel sad for a bit, and then feel happy. I don't know. Than feeling unhappy in a relationship.
The only problem, of course, with all of this is, and again, maybe this is an age thing, well, it's probably a gender thing as well, and that is about dependency. It's not always easy for somebody to end a relationship because of them or the other person having a dependency. They know that if they walk out, the other person is going to be devastated because they depend on them, or likewise, they depend on the other person.
True. We've run way over time.
Have we?
Yep. So I think the key word to take away from this podcast is expectations. What was the other one?
Communication.
Compromise. Honesty. And make sure you're happy by yourself as well, I would say.
Yeah.
Your happiness shouldn't depend on someone else.
Yeah. And don't put up with shit.
Yeah. I think also one last thing I want to say is that love and relationship shouldn't be about how much stuff you put up with.
And on that happy note.
Yeah.
Goodbye, listeners.
Yeah. Love isn't how much shit you put up with. Showing someone you love them isn't putting up with their terrible behaviour. No response. I was hoping for you to say, yeah.
Right, yes.
Okay, right. Bye.
Bye.